You are about to listen to a new episode of the Redefining Cybersecurity podcast with Sean Martin. Have you ever thought we're selling cybersecurity insincerely, buying it indiscriminately, and deploying it ineffectively? Well, perhaps we are. Let's look at how we can organize a successful information security program that integrates business culture with people, process, and technology to drive growth and protect business value. Beyond the title, what it really takes to be a CISO today. Insights following a conversation with Solarwinds. CISO, Tim Brown. The CISO role isn't defined by what shows up in headlines. Breaches, lawsuits, regulatory probes. Those are just snapshots. What really matters is what happens between those moments. How a security leader earns and maintains trust, supports the business, builds a resilient team, and keeps going even when trouble brews and the pressure peaks. I recently spoke with Tim Brown, CISO at Solarwinds, about his keynote at Australian Information Security Association CyberCon in Melbourne, and his role in leading a conversation during a CISO Bootcamp organized by RSAC, which was designed for those preparing to step into, or grow within, security leadership roles. The conversations he's having with current and future CISOs aren't theoretical. They're grounded in personal experience, organizational pain, and the long road back from one of the most scrutinized security incidents in recent memory. What emerged from our conversation, alongside my co-founder of Studio C60, Marco Ciappelli, was a reminder that context and perspective aren't just nice-to-haves, they're requirements. And when these are paired with community and conversation, they become powerful tools for clarity and for better decisions across risk, response, operations, and leadership. The role is bigger than the resume. Tim's message to those at the CISO Bootcamp was simple. Technical expertise is expected, but it won't carry you through a crisis. What matters more is your ability to lead with context, speak with perspective, and navigate the emotional and organizational terrain that doesn't show up on a CV. He described how Solarwinds paused all feature development for 6 months to focus entirely on security. 400 engineers redirected overnight. That's not a bullet point. That's a business decision with major implications. And it requires a leader who can explain the why in business terms, not just security language. Being a good CISO means aligning the program with outcomes that matter to the business. That's not something you learn in a course. It comes from mentorship, dialogue, and being willing to listen and speak with clarity. Communication is the real skill gap. The written word isn't enough, Tim said. People need to hear tone, emotion, intent. And in security leadership, verbal communication often defines how well risk is understood, or misunderstood, by boards, executives, and teams. Aspiring CISOs need to train for that. The ability to switch between legal, engineering, executive, and customer conversations in real time is a skill most people overlook. But it's fundamental to the job. Bootcamps like the one Tim helped lead offer something rare, a safe, off-the-record space for real conversations. Not panels, not webinars, conversations. That's where context is shared. That's where perspective is earned. That's where future leaders start to see what this role actually requires. The human layer of incident response. One of the most valuable parts of our conversation was Tim's reflection on how the Solarwinds incident affected his health, including a heart attack the week he was publicly named. That moment reframes the role entirely. Leadership in security isn't just about frameworks and reports. It's about stamina, stress management, and self-awareness. The same is true for teams. People process incidents emotionally: pride, shame, fatigue. These all show up. Good CISOs know how to support their teams through it. They design their programs to protect people as much as they protect systems, Resilience isn't a buzzword when you've lived through the cost of not having it. What to do if you want to be a great CISO. So what does it take to step into this role and serve the business well? Build relationship capital now. Trust is earned long before an incident hits. Train for high-context communication. The best leaders tailor the message to the audience, not the other way around. Practice personal resilience. Know how you process stress. Help your team do the same. Find your community. Learn from people who've lived it. Don't go it alone. Lead with clarity, not fear. Business alignment starts with calm, confident decision-making. The job is hard. It always has been. But with the right context, perspective, and community around you, it becomes not just survivable, but meaningful and impactful. That's the kind of clarity we should be teaching, and that's the conversation worth having. Thank you, Tim, for having this conversation with us, and with many others all around the globe. Join the conversation. What helped you develop the perspective needed to lead during uncertainty? And where did that clarity come from? If you're preparing for a CISO role, who are you learning from, and how are you building the relationships you'll need before a crisis ever hits? Drop a comment below or tag us in your posts. What's your perspective on this story? Want to share it with Sean on a podcast? Let him know. Sean Martin is a lifelong musician and the host of the Music Evolves podcast, a career technologist, cybersecurity professional, and host of the Redefining Cybersecurity podcast, and is also the co-host of the On Location Event Coverage podcast. These shows are all part of ITSPmagazine, which he co-founded with his good friend Marco Ciappelli, to explore and discuss topics at the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society. Would you like Sean to work with you on a topic/series to help you tell your story? Visit his services page to learn more, seanmartin.com/services. Want to connect with Sean and Marco on location at an event or conference near you? See where they will be next, itspmagazine.com/on-location. Want to chat with Sean about branding, marketing, go-to-market, sales enablement, or other topics related to bringing solutions to the business? Connect with him on Studio C60, studiocc60.com. To learn more about Sean, visit his personal website, seanmartin.com. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Redefining Cybersecurity podcast with Sean Martin. Please take a moment to rate the show and leave a comment. And remember to share the Redefining Cybersecurity podcast with your friends, family, and colleagues. Come back for more conversations and follow Sean Martin at seanmartin.com as he continues his journey towards redefining cybersecurity.